criminal charges got you down? Is the FBI listening to your phone calls? Is the IRS on your back? We are here to help. We at Appropriate Offenses Prison Services, also known as OOPS, are here to help you do your time in prison with ease and comfort. We know you're worried. We know you're concerned. What is your family going to do? How are you going to pay for things in the absence of all that money that you've been working for all these years? Don't worry about it. We're just going to help ourselves to a little bit of your money, somewhere between $5,000 and $20,000, and we can tell you how to work your way through federal prison with no problems. What kind of services does OOPS offer, you wonder? Well, let me tell you. We can guide you through lice checks. What are the manners when you're on a prison board? What's a good dating site? There's so many things that you're going to need to overcome. For example, what kind of excuses can you give your family and friends? Oh, he's away on assignment for work for 16 to 24 months. See, it's just that easy. Tell your friends and family you went on safari. Really, any excuse will do. But also, we give you day-to-day real-life tips. What kinds of things can I cook in my prison cell? What's appropriate for a potluck there in the prison? What do I need to bring to check-in? Here's a hint. Absolutely nothing. Everything you need at federal prison will be provided. But listen, give us a call at 1-800-I-GOT-CAUGHT. That number again is 1-800-I-GOT-CAUGHT, and we will be here to help you. We'll see you soon at OOPS. OOPS is not authorized by any state agency. It's also not a real company. You'll have to figure out shower crying and dating tips in prison all by yourself. Good luck in prison. Hey there, true crime friends. I am utterly ridiculous. I made that commercial a long, long time ago, and I ran across it the other day, and I was like, first of all, look how much thinner my face was back then. But also, I need to find my dollar bill shirts. It's utterly ridiculous. But here's the thing. Sherri Papini could have used OOPS Appropriate Prison Services before she went off to the federal I can't talk. To the federal pen. Hey there, Paul. How you doing?
Well, hello. I think you have a future in the thing that you just did right there. You could be a good
copywriting, making up ads.
That was so good. Oh my God. You should do more of those.
Oh my God. I was sitting up in my attic one day. I used to do lunchtime true crime where I would watch an episode of Snapped and then I would like summarize it and then I would drop them every day at lunchtime. And so I would record 5 at a time. I'd record a whole week sitting up in my attic, sweating my butt off. I just kept changing my shirts. And then on one of the videos they were talking about like this person took like a class before they went to prison. And I was like, oh my God, the commercial I could make about that commercial was entirely ad-libbed. The only thing I thought up, I was like trying to find words so that I could use the name Oops, but everything else literally just off the top of my head. I just started talking.
That is too
ridiculous.
Good. Oh my God, I love that.
Ridiculous. Oh my God. So how you doing? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Thanks for joining and thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming back to Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo. Listen, me and the Curtain Twitchers, we love having you here and all of the Sofa Squad. Honey.
We love coming over. Everybody was like, oh, y'all need to do this more often. And then when I saw the Sherri Papini thing, I mean, I was 60 seconds in. I was like, I've got to text Kathy. This is just, I mean, this is right up her alley.
I didn't even know she had a new doc until you texted me. I was like, there's a new Sherri Papini documentary. Few things bring me greater joy than a terrible criminal. Not terrible as in they're a terrible person, although she is also a terrible person, but she's so bad at crime. I love it when they're bad at crime. It's my favorite.
100%. And the ones like Sherri, where it's just like, I'm baffled. Number one, why she did I mean, I guess I know why she did the documentary because like in her world, it's like, let me put my story out there. But I guess what
Yes.
baffles me is where they think that it's gonna make them look good. Like I think in her world, she was like, I ate with that. Like they saw finally my story. Like I ate them up. There's no crumbs. And it's like it's Sarah Boone with her videos where she was like, wait till y'all see the stuff I got on my phone. You're gonna know he was the monster. And it was like,
Like,
that's
girl,
not
you
what
was
we
getting
thought.
high on your own supply. Like, Now,
Yes,
for those who don't know, let's back up and give a brief summary of the Sherri Papini story. Do you want to tell it or
yes.
should I?
How about I start and then I'll start with it and then you
Perfect.
interrupt me and do your thing.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So Sherri Papini, what I don't know the year exactly, but she goes out for a jog.
2016.
Thank you. She goes out for a little jog, doing the little, housewife thing, whatever. She is disappears into thin air and nowhere to be found. Oh my gosh, her husband Keith, they have kids. It's just terrible, as it would be if this were legit, a horrible thing, right? Like what has taken place? Well, when I tell you, I want to say international. Like this was like, where has this woman got? She was yanked off the streets. They found her headset in the grass, whole 9 yards, right? So
Right.
she magically resurfaces. What was it? 22, 24 days. I got her mixed
21
up with
days
somebody.
later.
That's
21
what I
days
did it.
later.
So 21 days later, she resurfaces with a tale that put Carly Russell to shame. Sherri Papini in my mind still takes the whole thing because of like all the details we got. But she
Yes.
says, oh, two Hispanic women, they snatched me off the road, they held me captive, they tortured me, they branded me, they did horrible things to me, and then they just magically let me go, you know. And it her story doesn't really end there though, because she kept the lie up for how long was it? Years after that?
2 or 3 years. Yeah, it was a couple years.
And so she keeps this lie up. She's taking victim service funds money. She's getting new blinds with it. She's doing this, she's doing that, blah, 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 blah. And
Paying bills.
paying bills, getting those nails done. She's like, I'm having a bad day. I need to go get a man. We'll let the
An
victim
emotional support manicure to keep her going, of
emotional
course.
support manicure. So she's doing all this. Well, then the cops behind the scenes they're like, this, huh? So they got some DNA that traces it back to, long story short, of wait, the DNA is from actually a dude she used to be with. So this whole
Mhm.
story. So then the cops basically go do their legwork. They find this dude, they interview him. He's like, yeah, she told me that, her dude was like really mean to her and I was coming to help her and she had me brand her and like this dude knows the whole tea. So he confesses to the cops. He doesn't get in trouble, which we'll talk about that. Will remind me to come back to that with you.
Mhm.
And the cops bring Sherri and Keith in, which it's probably one of the best. I don't know if you call it interrogation, but like
Oh.
here's the thing. Do you want us to tell us the truth? I literally, even though I've seen it, God knows how many times, will crawl under the table with embarrassment anytime I watch that interview where the cops tell Sherri and Keith that they know she's lying and she will not admit it. And the Keith's over there, he backs up a little bit. You can see the whole demeanor change. But he stood by, I mean,
Mhm.
he tried to stand by her as long as he could. I'll give him that. I'll give him
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
It's so
He was a
long.
good
So
husband. He was a
yeah, I
good
mean,
husband.
I think too, because like, okay, so let me finish. So then, so that happens. He's like, oh my gosh, they split up. They do this, they do that. Well, she ends up going to prison for this. Not for very long though. I mean, it's California.
Yeah.
Something like this is just like go touch jail and leave, right? It's like they're not going to keep her very long. So she does
Yeah, for
that. She
sure.
gets out. He does a documentary that does not paint her in a good light at all. And then fast forward, she comes out with her own saying, I'm ready to tell the truth. This is what really happened. And we're like, okay, girl, we've got our popcorn. We are dying to hear what really happened, Sherri. And then that's this documentary. Now
It
you
didn't
go
go
ahead and
good.
fill it. What?
It
What?
didn't go good. It didn't go good. I
Mhm.
think you covered everything except for before we got on, I was doing a little bit of research about Miss Sherry's background from the time before she married her husband.
Tell that
Apparently,
girl.
when she was about 16 years old, she ran away from home. And, then she came back like you do. And then later, she was kind of just like a little bit of a juvenile delinquent. She broke into her dad's house. She harmed herself and then told like Child Protective Services or whatever that her mother had harmed her. I was like, oh, I'm sensing a pattern, harming herself and then pointing the finger at somebody else. Like, uh-uh. So the parents have to know that she's a little bit ticklish of the brain. Madam needs the nervous hospital real, real bad. She got married. She married a first husband, and then that broke up for whatever reason, whatever way. And then she married Keith Papini, where she's just like, I'm blonde. I'm 102 pounds. I'm, I'm this cute little thing, and all I want is a nice, happy life where I can be a housewife, which she was, home raising the kids. But even her friends and family were like, she was kind of a compulsive liar and would always make up these wild, fanciful stories. And I was like, okay, girl, like, mm-mm. So it's sort of her histrionics, and her being extra, extra dramatic. She just put some sauce on every story she was telling, has all the extra sauce. So, and she had a history of disappearing. She would get mad at her husband and she would disappear and then come back. It was sort of like the thing she did for attention. So when she disappeared this time, some members in her family were kind of like, oh, here she go again. Here she, because that's what, look, let this be one of my little cousins. I'd be like, this heifer, she disappeared again. Okay. Don't let the news come over here because I'm going to tell it. From the time she was 16, but you ain't heard it from me. I will be all up on the tubes of you telling all her business. But the documentary starts with Sherri sitting there in a chair, like, now you're really going to find out the truth. And I was like, from this line, heifer, does she know? Is she on first name basis with the truth? I don't feel like she's in a lot of touch with what the truth is. What'd you think when you first saw, like, at least part one? What were your thoughts?
So the first like 60 seconds to 120 seconds, like 2 minutes, whatever you want to call it, I'm talking the cringe was so off the charts. I was like, because she the whole I'm gonna be ridiculous because half of this is ridiculous or whatever she said and flipped her hair. And I was like, she reminded me of Lori Daybell. I mean, I was just like
Yes.
this the what is that called? The cadence or however you speak or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like that
Mm-hmm.
word or whatever. She reminded me of that. And so I was like, I don't know, like, so that part was crazy to me. Now, so episode 1 did, like, a lot of, like, rehashing of the story, and at first I was
Yes.
like, "Oh, this is gonna be one of those docuseries that, like, just mostly retells the thing, and Sherri comes on, does a little 10-cent number here, there, whatever, and then
Mm-hmm.
that." But by episode 2, I was like, "Oh, they're gonna tell us she's ready to talk." She wasn't lying. She was
For
ready to
sure, for
talk.
sure. The thing that I loved about these documentarians is they're saying, here's what Sherri said happened. Here's the evidence that we have pulled up independently. And they brought on Denise Farmer. I had to write her down because I was like, oh, Miss Denise, come
Was that the
through.
FBI woman?
Yes. The FBI agent who was assigned to this case. She is now retired from the FBI, but she was the lead investigator on this case when it first came in. And from day one, she was like, nah, girl, mm-mm, 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 mm-mm. She's like, this is not our first rodeo. We deal with kidnappings all the time. This heifer lying. Not in those words, but she came with the spirit of, oh, this heifer's lying. And I was like, yes, Denise Farmer, you are my favorite.
Well, too, when she got up there at first talking, so you know how
Mm-hmm.
like the documentaries like try and make it like middle of the road or whatever, and I was like,
Yeah.
Lord help me if this woman's about to get up here talking about she's innocent, she will whatever. I was like, if we get the FBI lady up here talking about she needs to be let go. So once you could start seeing her angle where she was like, yeah, I was like, okay, we're on the right side of something here. Like this is,
Yeah.
you know, I was not going to be able to handle this because I was just like, there's no way they're going to present evidence of like, well, here's this alternate theory. I'm like, there is no alternate theory in this. Like, I mean, to Sherri there is, but like
Right.
the evidence or whatever showing, I'm like, oh no, oh no.
The FBI from jump, and the documentarians had to know that the FBI was like, this heifer's lying. Now, y'all go and get your bag of money, but this heifer's lying. And fancy FBI words, and it's no love lost between me and the FBI because we've had a few little run-ins. We're not gonna go down that road today, but that's another story for another day. But then Sherri's parents were up there like, we were afraid she was being trafficked because they said she's tiny and she's blonde and she's gorgeous. She's also crazy. Now, they say the crazy ones are the ones that, do the triple backflips in the bedroom and can do a triple Lutz and stick the landing. I don't know. But she was clearly not she don't even look right when you look her in the eyes. Like her eyes look
No.
crazy.
Thank you,
Like,
Kate Bush. Yeah. So here's the other thing too. So like let's talk about the parents for a second. So like
yes,
their
yes.
so we might end up like just kind of jumping from whatever because like I don't know how to talk
Mhm.
about the parents without their trajectory. So if anybody
Yes.
is wanting like, oh, I want to see it or whatever, there's going to be definite spoiler alerts in this.
We're gonna spoil
So
this whole thing. We're gonna
yeah,
spoil the
the
whole thing.
talk
Just say it
it's
right
just
now.
pure putrid rotten milk on the side of the road at this point. It's gonna be so spoiled.
Absolutely.
So with the parents start off and it's like, okay, so there's that level of like, okay, it's her daughter, blah, 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 blah. But as they get going, like with it, they let the mom talk more. And like it's a number of there's
Mm-hmm.
two things going on. The dad's reaction to some of the stuff that the mom said, like his facial stuff. But then with the mom, I was like, again, just like with Tiffany we were talking about, I was like, oh, they're over. This is the same old song and dance. They're over this ish. They've been around the block with Sherri. Mom ain't buying it. And I think what's sad is overall as well, because even the sister-in-law, who we'll talk about her big time, the parents, and I forget who else was in there. Everybody was basically like, yeah, we don't really think it was maybe a kidnapping, but it was their whatever version. And I'm like, Sherri,
Mm-hmm.
just admit it's done with. What are you trying to? I mean, maybe she's still trying to do something with the child custody, but regardless, with her little thing she's talking about, I'm like, it would be normal for the partner of a person who pulled this to be concerned about the child custody thing because it's like,
Of course.
what, like, this is so
Of
next level
course.
crazy. What would you be
Mm-hmm.
willing to do to the children back against the wall or
Right.
emotional breakdown or whatever? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
with the parents, like once the mom was just like, no, not buying it. But then the other stuff the mom did, I was like, she seemed just as naive. But it was like at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, she was like, I don't believe her. And I was just
She
like, well, yeah,
knows
she's
her
been doing,
child's a liar. She
yeah.
knows her
It's the
child's a
mother.
liar.
It's the mother. I mean,
Your mother
she knows
knows.
Sherri. Yeah, she knows.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And the fact that the parents are like, we know she's a big fat liar, but we feel like I think the parents have cherry picked which parts of the story they're gonna believe. And I was like,
yeah.
Mom and Daddy, y'all are looking crazy to me. Honestly, when I watched the first part didn't have that much Sherri in it. It was the story was being told through the eyes of the FBI and the parents and other people. It was only after I saw the first two parts, I was like, okay, is this going to be them making excuses for this crazy lady? And then the last two episodes dropped. The way I watched them episodes while I was at work, y'all. Don't tell my boss. Now, was I still working? Yes, I was getting my QIPs done. I got all the quarterly reports done and the charts and everything else. But I may or may not have had an earbud slipped in with my phone sitting on a little phone stand underneath my monitor at work, like, girl, oh my God. The way I was clutching my pearls when she just dropped lie after lie after lie about what happened. So Paul told you the real version of what happened. Sherri's version of what happened goes a little something like this. She was unhappy in her marriage and she was bored. Poor her. She had 2 young children at home and a husband who was working. And so she started having an emotional affair. Um, I didn't know your coochie was emotions, but okay, whatever. So she was having this emotional affair with an ex-boyfriend. Excuse me. Sherri also says that every relationship she's ever been in has been a DV relationship. There's always been some episode of somebody getting talked down to or smacked around or whatever it is. So she was like, I'm real bored. Let me do this. Let me go back to my old boyfriend. Let me talk to him on the phone and, start this emotional affair. And they were just talking on the phone. She got herself a little secret squirrel phone. And according to Sherri, she was lying to him, saying, he was like, baby, I want to rescue you from this terrible relationship you're in. And she's like, rescue me. That's going to be real delightful. According to Sherri, she was like, okay, I can no longer do this because, I'm trying to be pure in all my crazy. And he was like, okay, I'm going to come down and say goodbye to you one last time. So he drives 7 hours from Northern California to Southern California, or from Southern to North. I don't know. He drove a long way in California to say goodbye. And during the time that he was saying goodbye, he snatched her up, drug her in the car, like drug her physically, but also drugged her like chloroform. I don't know what you use to drug people. And she told 2 different stories about her phone/iPod. She said, one time she said she was so shocked, she just dropped it and it fell on the ground. Another time she said she thought, oh no, I'm being kidnapped. Let me pluck out some hairs and wrap it around the earbuds and then wrap the cord around the phone and put it gingerly on the ground so that my husband can come and find me and he's going to rescue me. This boyfriend knocked her out, took her to his house, asked him to board the windows, don't feed her, beat her up, all these things. And after 3 weeks, she got tired of being there. And so she was like, my husband's going to find me. My husband's never going to let this go. And so on Thanksgiving Day, he drove her back and dropped her off where she was like, help, help, help. And somebody rescued her. And then after she was rescued, in all the videos, because the police come, FBI, whoever, the police come and they're recording everything that happens. And she was like, so I was tied up and it was really awful. And I just had the worst possible time while grinning and sort of like cooing and giggling with the FBI people, with the sheriff's office. The FBI lady was looking at it like, this heifer. So Sherri's story was that she was just going to say goodbye to this ex-boyfriend, which is why she had the secret squirrel phone, but he kidnapped her against her will, and she didn't know what he was going to do, and she was not free to leave. And so finally, she just wore him down and worried him to death, and so he let her go right in time to go get Thanksgiving dinner. And she said she was kidnapped by 2 Hispanic women. When they asked her, when she finally got caught, and the whole story came out, they said, why did you say 2 Hispanic women? And one of the key lies that this documentary exposes is that she said, well, her ex-boyfriend is a Hispanic man. And she described a woman who looked like his mother, the boyfriend's mother, so that the police would start looking for a Hispanic woman. And then they would be able to track him down, which is a story that makes no sense. Additionally, spoiler alert, we find out in part 4, the kidnapper's mother is not Hispanic. She just made that up. The father was Hispanic. The mama was a white lady. The mama was Irish. So it's not like she's like, well, I only met her twice.
She had an attitude about it too.
Girl,
she was like, okay, yeah. So I only met her twice.
What? I mean, that Irish lady really looked Hispanic to me. Because maybe she wouldn't know what Hispanic people look like since she lives in California and there are no Hispanic people there. Girl.
Now let me okay, so that was an amazing summation of Sherry's version. It's like, you know how
Yes.
Taylor came out with like Taylor's version. We got Sherry's got Sherry's version. So I
Crazy.
want your opinion on this. Um, let's talk about James for a second. Okay,
Yes.
so here's my thing. So, and I've gone over this multiple times. So, some questions that come up. Why wasn't he
Mm,
ever charged with anything at all? Because, like, and not even the stuff he did to her, but being
right.
part of, because he basically hit her. Because this is what I think happened. Well,
Yeah.
okay, so now let's talk about this. Let's say this is what we think happened, or this is what I think happened.
Yes.
So she's doing this like little affair, whatever. She's gassing James up, talking about Keith is doing all this crazy stuff to me. Blah 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 blah. James starts to get like, well, I'm going to save my woman. This is my time to get
Right.
my woman back. You know, like this
Right.
whole dynamic's going on. She kind of makes that happen. He comes, gets her. I think honestly, it was almost like well, this is what we're doing today for her. Like, it's just this is whatever. So she goes. Now, this is where I start to get like, okay, I can't decide. So, first of all, we don't really know what was said between her and what's his name, James. This is going to be like
Right.
a big mystery that, whatever. And I think she
Mm-hmm.
knows that, which is why she's exploiting that. But she's
Right.
also so confident and saying stuff that makes me think, what went on that she might be banking on, that she's like, he's not going to say this out loud because blank. Because at
Right.
this point in time, I think he could get a lawsuit against her with the things she's saying. So part of me feels like this. I'm like, so here's one question. Do we really think they didn't hook up that whole time and that she was
On
just sitting
now.
in the bedroom with, a wood branding kit and some,
No.
whatever?
Let us be abundantly clear. Sherry Papini was giving it up out of both draw legs. Let me tell you something right now. She was doing the backflips. She was letting him do in the no-no place. They was finding new orifices. He didn't even know he could put it in somebody's belly button. This girl was doing everything. She did all the things, in my opinion, allegedly, according to me. So I think James is looking at this like, wait, I could also go to jail, right? He participated in this fraud, but they never would have been able to get all the details on Sherry if they had not. They had to give him some enticement because he has no. I mean, they could come to him and say, "Hey, we have your DNA. This lady says you kidnapped her." He's like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! I was trying to help a friend." Also, she let me do it in the no-no place. And so, and whatever no-no place you choose, maybe she's into getting it in her nostrils. I don't know. But I think he was like, okay, look, I'm complicit in this crime in that I helped her cover this up. I did participate in the branding of her and the battering of her and the whatever else. He's like, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm going to roll over on the crazy lady. How sick of her do you think he was? Do you think it's fun to live with Sherri Papini? He was like, Dear Golden Girls, please let this heifer be ready to go home. It was the ransom of Red Chief. He's like, you ready yet? You ready yet? Do I have to brand you some more today? Can you please go? I know you let me do all the things, right? Cream pies for breakfast, the whole thing. But he's just like, enough with the rusty trombone. I really, really need you out of my house. I'm just saying.
Well, and I 100% think that was like going on there too. And I think that that's the whole thing that's just like, there's this not really unspoken, but like, we want, we won't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the whole thing to it. And I think
Yep.
she knows that because, like, how in
Yep.
these cases, like, where they have time to, like, so Lori Daybell, Jody, like all these kids where they have time to sit back,
Mm-hmm.
kind of piece together their story, look at the evidence they think they have, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
And figure it out, put the story together, whatever. But I think that there's this whole thing with this where I'm like, yeah, there's way more than meets us. And I'm not trying to, because one thing too with this is with what she's saying
Mm-hmm.
took place, it's like, why wouldn't he have been charged then? Because he would have committed
Right.
atrocious crimes
Mhm.
against her. Now, even though she's
Mhm.
like, well, I lied and did this and did that, it's like, okay, well, then we should be seeing something come from that. Because the whole
Right.
branding thing alone. Now, look, let's pretend this. Let's pretend so you put everything else aside. We're superficially buying the story of this is how it went. They got ahead, whatever. I'm gonna brand you because you asked me to.
Right.
Okay, somebody comes to you, Kathy. We've really done it this time. You're gonna have to brand some Bible stuff on my back. I'd be like, are you crazy? We can do some other stuff, but that, like, what? There's no way I could do that. So, like, that's where I'm
Yeah.
like, part of me was almost like, was this some weird kink of theirs? Like, was there something going on? Because like that's so over the top. Now, the other thing too is this: they were sitting up in that house watching TV, talking about, "Girl, we did it this time." Like, I'm talking Francis tuning in. talking, I'm talking global. We better cook something up so big that
Yep.
they're not going to know what to
Yep.
say about it. You know what I'm saying?
She's
So,
like,
I
"I'm a
mean,
pretty white girl. Everyone is going to be talking about this." Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. She's blonde, she's teeny. People are always terrified of like trafficking and whatever. Not to say that trafficking isn't a real thing. It absolutely is. But she was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm going to blame this on a handy dandy all purpose minority. And then this is going to be a big deal. Maybe this was just her way of getting the therapy that she definitely needs. But also, I think that like BDSM and sadomasochism and all that sort of stuff was kind of her kink. She was said that every abusive relationship she'd ever been in, she'd only been in abusive relationships. She continued to return to them. So it makes sense if you get off on pain, having him brand her was probably totally her kink and beat her up and hit her with a hockey stick and all of these things. Like, girl, that was her. She's like, this is my finest hour.
yeah. I just feel like that had to be going on to some level because
Oh,
it's the
yeah.
whole thing is so bizarre. Like that dynamic of it, of the him
Yeah.
roughing her up. Now the other part too, pardon me, that I sit here and think about, and I'm like, think about all those days, like that whole with Keith when this came out. Keith
Yeah.
is in that thing, and I'm kind of jumping around here. I'm sorry, but like
It's okay.
Keith and Sherri are in the interview room. Cops are like, "Yeah, so it was this dude James," and she's like, "That can't make sense. What James wouldn't do this?" And they're like, "Well, we know he went up because you were in on it." And Keith is like, "Wait a second. He's going through his mind all the drama that she's gone through, talking about. I can't go wash the dishes. I'm triggered right now. Like for the
Yep.
previous 2 to 3 years, where whatever stuff she
Yep.
did, and it's just like that
Yep.
enormity of like she's been dragging this out for this long, and none of it's real. Like
Yep.
what? You know what I'm
What
saying?
And here's the thing, because I watched both documentaries. Keith's documentary when it came out, that was the first documentary. Sherri's documentary is the second documentary. And his documentary, it went into a lot more detail of things from her husband's side. And what her husband was saying was that after she came back, like they had two young kids, he's working, he's busy all the time, and she wanted a lot of attention. After she came back, she basically held the family hostage of like, love me, love me, love me, love me, love me, give me all this attention. You can't go anywhere because I'm freaking out. I can't do the dishes because I'm freaking out. So it was her way of holding her family hostage. And then when I started to say when 9/11 happened, when the pandemic happened, and everybody was locked down in the house and staying together all the time. In the first documentary, Keith was saying she loved it because she was like, great. I'm in this house. I get to make this small little cocoon with just my family. But Keith had to know something was going on because he asked, talked her into signing a post nuptial agreement. Somebody asked, is Keith is her husband, was the original husband. Um, Keith had her sign a post-nuptial agreement after she returned from her kidnap adventure, which basically says, listen, you're my wife. We have these two kids. I love you. We're going along happily. But if your crazy starts to flare up again, I get everything. And she was like, yes, yes, yes. Okay, sure, that's fine. And only later, when she got arrested, he was like, girl, remember them papers you signed? Yeah, all of this is me, all of this house. Because he was like, oh, you're not going to leave me and take my money and take my kids because you've proven that you are, you belong down to the nervous hospital. So no, Heifer, no. It's
Now,
crazy. But he had to know. He had to know something was not right about this.
had to. Okay, so remember, okay, so now rewind back to like when it's first popping off. Now, I
Right.
remember when this popped off, but I didn't follow it when it popped off. But it was like
Yeah.
after the fact, once it started like kind of, that's when I picked it up or whatever. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so when it popped off and Keith is doing all those things where he's like on there and he's like crying and doing stuff. I think because in the beginning people were like, this is whatever. Is this a couple one in fame? Like, because they're a
Right.
very Ken and Barbie esque look. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
then
Yes.
for Keith to get up there, and it just is what it is. But it's like with men expressing emotion, there's almost like this balance. And Keith to
Mm-hmm.
me tipped the scale, and like we're not used to seeing a dude get this
Yep.
emotional and this open with crying. There was something that was
Mm-hmm.
just whatever, right, wrong, or indifferent. And so people are
Mm-hmm.
like, whatever. Now looking back, I'm like, Keith, I mean, I don't know the man or whatever. I think he's probably just a little bit dramatic too. You know what I'm saying? And I think he was legitimate, like, oh my God, like my wife has been kid, like, what the hell? I don't think he was in on it all in the beginning. Like he
Yeah, yeah,
legitimately
yeah.
thought she was
Agreed.
like gone,
Agreed.
dead, whatever, and kind of over the top. Now, that being said, he already caught, like, so when this happened, he had already caught her talking to other men and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it's like
Yep.
in his world, I would think, and I don't know how this would go down, like when you think like, oh my God, like they're missing, whatever, but there had to always be that seed of mistrust and doubt. It's like
For
that
sure.
level of like that. And so when this took place, it's like, did he at first be like, oh God, what does she do? Like, where is she? I know she's not kidnapped. Like, almost
Right.
like I know, but I don't know kind of thing. Obviously 20 days is a lot, especially when kids are involved,
Mm-hmm.
because I would think even if there was that level, it's like, I mean, we've got kids. Would she really do this? Would she really,
Right.
like, I mean, to her kids, maybe to me, but like with the kids, like, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like that whole thing. And then the flip side of that, like you said, okay, now they're living together. Now COVID's going on. Now this and that. He had to be looking at her with side eye, like just watching her and being like, was she really? Things couldn't have added up because look at how bad she is at lying.
Yep.
Like, you're keeping that, all the things that go along with that on a daily basis for
Yep.
years in this little bubble. And she's over here talking about, I had to clean his aunt's house for spending money because he was taking all
Mm.
of it. And I'm just like,
Mm.
girl, you probably have a lot of money issues too, I'm guessing. Because you remember in the documentary, I'm kind of jumping around, I'm sorry, but
That's okay.
they show that one thing where it was like, okay, she's like, well, Keith was like taking all the money, and we got all that disability, and he was like taking it out for shared house expenses and this and that. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know what kind of man Keith is. I don't know if he's the type that would be like, you're my woman and I'm paying for everything or whatever. But I
Right.
also am like, I don't think he trusted you at all at that point. And he probably was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, we're siphoning this money out, because he might have been the whole time talking about something's not right with this. This is going to pop off. If she keeps
Yep.
that money, she might up and run. Because also, too, and then I'll shut up for a second. So, James versus Keith. In my mind, I'm thinking, I'll bet you Keith was like little Mr. Vanilla, little Mr. like, and
Oh.
James was Mr. Freaky, like,
Yes.
we're going to play whatever you want to play. What's her name? Sherry. And there was
Mm-hmm.
something of like, I just need to let my damn hair down for the weekend. And the weekend turned into 20 days on the International Man. She let that hair all the way down.
She was like, I'm letting my freak flag fly. Oh my God. Absolutely. Somebody needs to come and get these barking dogs. Hang on. Let's hold while
Oh,
I
I don't
scream
even
at my
hear him. I don't
family.
even hear him.
Hey.
But so, y'all, so yeah, so I was like, I couldn't believe, I don't know, y'all. Let me read your comments and see what everybody's saying.
It's
Oh, hey,
crazy.
Cindy.
here's the thing. I think it's time to feed. Did anybody feed the dogs? Please feed the dogs.
Oh wait, and
Five people in this
Robin brings up a
house.
good point. Sherri said that her and James were not compatible in that way. So remember that part? So where she was like, because James, I can't remember now. Was it because James was too freaky? I can't remember what
Okay,
she said.
I think her husband Keith was a save-a-hoe. He was one of these, I'm gonna put on my cape and be Captain Save-a-hoe and rescue this little lady, and it's gonna be great. And then he was like, oh Lord, my hands are full with these kids and this crazy lady. And then James was like, no, no, I will save the hoe. And so James was probably like, oh my God. Yes, she's, crazy and fun and full of all of this energy, but oh my God, she's crazy and fun and full of all of this energy, whatever that looked like for them. But somebody said in the comments, and I should have snagged it, after Sherri came back, in her conversations with Keith, he kept saying, if you're lying, I hope you're not lying. He kept making references to, I hope you're telling the truth, or if this is true, if this happened. I think that somewhere in his mind, not even in the back of his mind, possibly in the front of his mind, this man knows who he married, right? He knows he married a dramatic, over the top lunatic who is desperate for attention at all times. You know, she's an energy vampire. You could look at her and be like, this heifer is an energy vampire who loves all the drama and the crazy, which is probably why she has a new documentary out. One documentary was already made. I personally feel like she made this documentary, number one, so she can get money to fund her custody battle, which two, in my opinion, she's never going to win, because in that first documentary, they talked about her having, it used to be called Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Now it's called factitious disorder of another, something like that. But basically where you make the kids sick so you can get the attention. The first documentary revealed her Munchausen's situation, and then enter her little sister-in-law. Do you want to talk about the sister-in-law?
I was literally sitting here. I'm like, I cannot forget to tell her we have got to
Honey,
talk about the sister-in-law. Okay,
honey.
have you looked into all the tea behind the scenes of the sister? No. The sister-in-law was working for or with her therapist. It's in the documentary, and that is where
Wait,
Sherri met the boyfriend or the ex-boyfriend who owns the auto dealership who bought her the house, and his wife died.
wait, wait.
Girl,
Keith Papini has a sister. That lady is Sherri Papini's sister-in-law. Keith and Sherri got divorced. Keith got custody of the kids. Sherri got custody of Keith's sister, who, in my opinion, is in love with Sherri. I'm not saying anything is happening, but I'm just saying they have ways likened unto folks who are over there splashing around in the lady pond. Although I don't know what they're doing. I was not there. So
I
the
agree.
sister-in-law is all hugged up with Sherri, and I love her and I'm taking care of her. The sister-in-law works for a therapist, you're saying?
So in the documentary, Sherri Papini, psychologist or therapist, it was like that came on a talk. I don't remember
Yes.
if that was like her boss or they worked at the same practice, but I think it was like she worked under him or something. So there was that
Okay.
connection with them. So the two people that are pro Sherri have a
Yeah.
connection. So it's like, okay, that makes sense now. Okay, got
Oh.
it. Because with the therapist, I was like this. I was like, dude, you're not gonna get any business out of this. Like, this is really bad. Like, absolutely. And yeah, her sister-in-law up there with some damn sage talking about I think I said in my video, I was like, girl, get a wheelbarrow of that in here because that little handful, it
Mm-mm.
ain't gonna cut it. It ain't
Mm-mm.
gonna cut it.
She needs some garlic. And what do you use to cast out the devil? I'm not sure what it takes to cast out Satan. But Ziggy, what is needed to cast out Satan? She gonna tell me. Here you go. Oh,
No,
she
no.
okay. The ALEXA device, um, it just gave me some movies, so I don't think it knows what it's taken. Oh, an exorcism or a priest Holy water. Yes. Okay. Okay. Oh,
Those
and
are good starts.
in that movie Sinners, I think they also used vinegar and
I
garlic,
want
or
to
maybe
see
that's
that.
vampires. My husband took me to see that for Mother's Day. I was like,
Was it
what the what? This
good?
is not a Mother's Day movie. Yes, but it was a horror movie, and I don't like horror movies, but I did like that movie. And
Everyone keeps
Michael B.
telling I've got to
Jordan,
go see it. Every night I'm like,
honey,
oh yeah, oh yeah,
honey,
oh
spank bank material. Anyway,
yeah.
um,
Hold on,
so,
boys,
note to
boys.
self, the ALEXA, Google does not know how to cast out the devil. I'm just telling you right now because I asked. And she knows. She just gave me some listings for some movies. But Sherri got the devil in her. That's all there is to it. Sherri got the devil in her. Something's wrong with her. The
100%.
sister-in-law is all trying to, cast whatever spells or whatever. Hi, puppies.
Oh,
Um,
hey. It's
Oh my,
major
they've
playtime over
gotten
here.
so big. Oh my gosh. Look at
And they
those
all have a
big
little stomach bug
boys.
today.
Oh
So the
no.
sister-in-law. So another thing that was interesting too is like, so the sister-in-law, where she was like, yeah, her and Keith aren't like close as adults, but when they were kids, but I mean, obviously they grew up together, right? She was like,
Right.
I saw some of the same stuff, whatever. And I just think that probably her and Keith are like ideologically, I don't know if that's the right word, not different people,
Yes.
like just different people.
Yes.
And I think that's
Yes.
probably because you can just even not knowing them tell like they beat to their own different drummers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So she latched on to Sherri and immediately did the, oh, she's a victim, she's this, she's that, and almost even the way of, well, even if it doesn't matter how we arrived here, I don't want
Right.
her story erased, I don't want this or that. And so yeah, I was like, oh, she's worked the sister-in-law over too.
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, she's
Oh yeah.
100% worked this woman over. Like, and for what, and I saw some old pictures like during court, stuff like that, where the sister-in-law was like holding hands, walking into court with her, just smiling, and I was like,
Yep.
what is this like? All these people attached to what's her name, Sherri. It's like they're all like in attention. It's giving like narcissist. It's giving what is that, histrionic?
Yep.
It's all those things. Because like that new lawyer team with that lady, the vaping lawyer lady,
Yes.
like that was a whole
Yes.
vibe. It was just all the people attached to her in that way. But yeah, there's a lot going on with the sister-in-law, and apparently a lot behind the scenes that makes like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
because also, so on that note too, at one point Sherri's like, when they're talking about the house, she's like, oh, my friend let me move in here and the house is vacant or whatever. Well, that was that dude, the auto dealer boyfriend dudes, who there's this whole thing
Oh.
about being like almost like he's really gay and she was like the beard. There's this whole, I mean, I went down a rabbit hole one day.
Well,
I
clearly,
went
I
down a
am not
rabbit hole.
spending enough time on Reddit up in these people's business. That is my personal failing because, other people's business is my speciality. I love other people's business, honey. So I had heard that she was dating some dude that was like an ex-con, or he had some sort of weird history. It seems to me that Sherri has surrounded herself with a bunch of real shady people. Her attorney, that the father and daughter attorney team that are trying to help her get custody back. And the female attorney was like, this is just like Mexico. And I was like, what? Mexico? She's like, see, this time I got kidnapped in Mexico, and then this happened and that happened. I was like, okay, ma'am, you might be projecting your personal crazy onto this kind of crazy, but birds of a crazy feather clearly flock together. The thing about this case that had me almost fall out of my chair is that they got Dr. Romani involved in this. Are you familiar with Dr. Romani?
When she came up there, I was like, what? I was like, she got on this show? Yeah.
We need
How
to
do you
stage Dr. Romani now to cleanse her from all this madness because that
I
was
would love to see
ridiculous.
the unedited version of what all Dr. Romani had to say. They chopped
Look,
that up because it was almost like
oh
she
my
spoke
God.
very generically about like narcissists, stuff like that. But
Yes.
she was probably more like, well, without having diagnosed her or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, oh, please, she spotted Sherri from a mile. She's probably done videos on her before.
Dr. Romney was, on the cutting room floor is her going, this is thick, creamy soup. Because,
Oh.
we don't call people out their names on YouTube in front of their face. I was just like, Dr. Romney specializes in trauma and narcissism and getting away from narcissistic people. And in my opinion, Sherri Papini is the epitome of clearly she's been through some sort of trauma. Clearly she's a narcissist. Clearly she real ticklish of the brain. She does not want to be healed, in my opinion, because she loves so much being in all of the drama, the histrionics and all the other madness. I was like, y'all have soiled Dr. Romney. Dr. Romney don't need all of this. She's doing just fine. She over there hanging out with Oprah and Gail. Why is she hanging out with this trash bag? I was offended. I started to write a strongly worded letter to the network, but then I realized how absolutely shady the producers of this documentary were. And then my blood pressure came down some because I was like, towards the end, these producers were like, let's make a list of lies that we have absolutely debunked, and let's hit this heifer upside the head with them, and then show her the footage of her getting caught in these lies on film. And I was like, tell me every single thing, shady producers. I was living for it. What did you think when they started confronting her with all her lies in the end of the last section?
So yeah, so that part right there, and I think they did exactly that. They were just keeping those receipts as they went along. They were just
Oh
like
my
folding that
God.
receipt up, put in that little change purse. They're like, we're gonna use this for tax season, and then tax season came up on
Yep.
episode 4. That was the real Sherri. That was the real Sherri
Yes.
that we saw when she was like,
Yes.
I don't care. And then her like all that was the real one of them. I think Sherri has many different versions, like we all
Yes.
do, but just more exaggerated, people like Sherri. But that was the real her of just dismissive and defensive and attitudey and blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you heard the one part where she was talking about lying, and she was like, well, I've caught you and the producers lying, numerous times. And they're like, okay, fair. And it's like, I mean, what do you say? But yes, but see, people like Sherri who like thrive in these, and again, I don't know, I'm not some doctor, but like that thrive on this drama, on the line, on this whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're creating their own reality. So to
Yeah, for sure.
Sherri, she's created this reality. It doesn't matter that they came with receipts. It's like, no, y'all
Yep.
are wrong. Like this is what I did over here. I mean, I don't care that the mother's Irish and not Hispanic. I mean, I saw her twice, maybe. Like, what are you talking about? That whole part. Okay, so let's rewind real quick. There's 2 parts here I want to throw out because I'll forget about them. Okay,
Uh-huh.
when she's leading up to, we're gonna do the reenactment. That part right there, and also the lie detector test. Notice how in those scenes where she would
Honey.
have like the hair blown out, her little leather jacket, and I'm like,
Honey.
thinking she's Marilyn Dan Monroe for her, she was difficult on set. She was difficult on
Absolutely.
set.
These producers hated her. And you can tell in the beginning, it's like, they're like, okay, we're going to make this documentary. We're going to show the whole world this other side because clearly this crazy lady wants to talk. Great. And as the time goes on, it's like the editing of the show gets more and more anti-Sherri as it goes along, which to me, what my experience of that is that they hate this heifer. They're so sick of her. The same way James, her kidnapper, was sick of her. These producers are like, we can't stand her. And she thinks she's going to have the final word. We have final edit. So we are going to have the final word. And as they went through pulling out receipts, they didn't just save receipts, they laminated receipts and blew them up to font size 100, like HEPA, bam. You took a lie detector test, and this part it says you believe you were telling the truth, and this part is inconclusive, and this part there are more questions. And she was like, well, I mean, and she on the spot crafted a story to fit whatever pieces they had. Just, the beginning of this video was me ad-libbing a commercial about appropriate prison services, literally just making stuff up off the top of my head. That is what Sherri did every time they confronted her about, we caught you in this lie and this lie and this lie. She's like, oh, I can explain that. And like a good professional liar, she's like, let me take a string of truth and a string of fantasy, and I'm gonna braid it all together and tie a knot on it. And those who want to believe can believe, and those who don't, I'm gonna act like they're crazy and they're somehow against me. It was amazing in like the worst, best possible way. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Now,
Also
also on the lie detector part, so where the lie detector person, and also we need to talk about the prison inmates talking about they believe her, but the lie detector dude who was like, I believe these three
crazy.
questions. I think that either, so number one, you know that Sherri knew she was going to do a lie detector test.
Yeah,
You
for
know
sure.
she had her rich man, or like, this is my opinion, she had to have had her little husband order her a lie detector test. And you know she had to be like, you can ask. She went into that knowing what they were going to ask her. This
For
wasn't some
sure.
random thing. I mean, this is a TV show, right?
For sure.
So she was probably practicing that as hard as she could and doing all this and doing all that. And I mean, number one, those aren't like reliable things or whatever. So to me, that's more
Right.
like an entertainment thing at this point. But the
Right.
first three where it was like, well, how'd she pass those? And then the other, like, two pairs of three that she did were like, or they, one question was like, and then the one that was she can't get out of, which was the how'd you get in the car? I don't remember what they were here, but it
Mhm.
was all about like the car
Mhm.
and did you ask him to brand you and the blah 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 blah. That whole thing about the car, and this is my theory on this. My theory is the reason why she will not, what she forgets what happened with the car and all that, is because she
Mhm.
knows, very similar to Diane Downs and the reenactment of that whole situation. I think Sherri is smart enough to know that if she said this is how that part went down, they could very easily debunk it through a
Absolutely.
reenactment of this is the car that pulled up and you claim this took place. So it's in her best
Absolutely.
interest. You have to be like, I don't, girl, I don't know. He hit
It's
me in
all
the,
foggy.
yeah,
And
it's
then they
all
have
foggy.
Then they
Yeah.
splice in Dr. Ramani saying somebody who has experienced trauma will not remember every single thing. Honestly, I believe that she has complex PTSD, like she said. I think she's histrionic, like the doctor said. I think she shows, I'm a professional gossip. In my opinion, she shows profound signs of mental illness. And she talks about somebody in her family did whatever to her. She's like, not my father, not my mother, but some family member did terrible things to me when I was young and it messed me up. I agree with all of that. I don't think she's lying about that part of it. Or maybe she is. Who knows? Maybe she's just a natural liar. You know what I mean? Like she lies about all kinds of things when she doesn't have to. And her parents don't even believe the full story that she told. Her parents are sitting up there on camera, like, oh no, we don't think that part happened, but we think this part happened. They're cherry picking the parts of the story that they want to believe as well. The whole thing is crazy. It's crazy.
Do you think the parents got paid?
I think Sherri was paid for this documentary and she's like, "Mom and Dad, let me break you off a
I'll
little
break you off
something."
some, yeah.
But I
Because
think
in
they
the,
also want to help their daughter get custody
yeah,
of her children back.
yeah. That whole
Yeah,
thing
it's
where
like,
they were
of
like, oh, go ahead.
course.
The whole
Yeah,
thing where, go ahead, go ahead.
I got to sip. My throat's dry. I think that these are parents. Helen B says it right. Liars are going to lie. I think
Yeah,
these parents are just doing what they can to help they know she's crazy, but she's not going to not be their daughter. They're just happy
yeah,
her crazy behind is still alive. Okay, great. Good for her. Good for them.
yeah.
May they live happily ever after. But
Another thing that I think she's doing and getting tricky with, and like this is why like and again, this is all sofa speculation, but because she's trying to avoid that 300K restitution and doing this and doing that, and
yeah.
blah, 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 I think she's getting very tricky financially.
Yeah. Hang on. What, baby?
Can I go for a run?
Yes, but don't stay out too late. Um, yeah, absolutely. This is how she repays her restitution. This is how she pays for her child custody battle. But she said something at the end of this that was very striking to me. I wrote it down. She says, I think she thought it can't get any worse. Everybody already thinks I'm a liar. Everybody already thinks I'm this terrible person. And she says, oh wait, we're at rock bottom. There we can't go any lower than this or something like that. And I was like, girl, clearly. She's like, there is no more. This is it. Here's the thing, and I've said this before, I will say it again. There's a fallacy that people sort of hit rock bottom and then they start to get better. And hang on, as a person who's been in recovery for many, many years, I will tell you this one thing I know for sure, like Oprah Winfrey, the one thing I know for sure, you don't hit rock bottom, you live at rock bottom. And often you live at rock bottom for a long time. Now, when you get tired of living at rock bottom, then you could start to go up. But in my opinion, Sherri thought being kidnapped and coming back was going to be her bottom. Then she probably thought prison was going to be her bottom. Now she thinks, oh, well, this child custody battle is my bottom. Girl, you living at bottom, and you've been living at bottom for years, possibly decades, in my opinion.
That
So
makes total
who
sense.
knows where it goes from here? Who knows where it goes from here?
The way
Oh,
she was
wait.
doing.
And then
Go ahead.
she says one thing that I wrote down. Do you think this film is going to do more harm than good for me?
Too late for that one. Like you're asking now at the end. Yeah, that was a no
Girl.
brainer. It's like we could have told you that when you started shopping the idea around. Like, how did she think it was
Reporting
going to
live
go?
from the bottom, ma'am. Uh-uh. 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 Uh-uh.
I
Ma'am.
love that moment
Ma'am.
for her though. Like that, because
Yes.
she's punching air when she saw that. She punched air. She was like, they did me like that. She was like, I thought that they were gonna, huh? Well, I'm suing. She's very sue happy. I'm gonna get my thing. When she was gaslighting Keith on that little, home video she made on her phone talking about, um, I just dropped the papers off for the defamation in the mail for Keith. That stuff's on the internet forever. And I'm like, girl, take the temperature. What are you talking about?
Mm-mm.
Or
No,
when she recorded
ma'am.
herself talking to her kid on the phone, and then she was like, woo. I'm like, who does? I'm like, because I'm envisioning as like a fly on the wall, watching the person take the time to set the phone up, get the kid on the phone, record,
Mm-hmm.
hang up, wail, scream. Why are we doing all this? Why are
Yeah.
we doing all this?
It's like it's hard to tell sometimes you look and you're like, I'm doing good today. And other times you can look at yourself and be like, oh, I'm a mess today. She's not the best judge of how well she's doing, because in her mind, she's like, I'm going to be so sympathetic. So they show her, for people who didn't see the end of it, they show her talking on the phone with her kids, but because her children are minors, they take out the voices of the children. She's like, how was your day? Blah, 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 blah. She's recording herself on a FaceTime with them, and she sounds all cheerful and happy. And then when she's like, okay, you have, good night or whatever, she says goodbye to her kids. And then she throws herself on the floor and she sobs. And I think she's supposed to be seen as she's a mother and poor her, and this is so terrible. But it's like, oh, look at Sherri with more manipulation. Good for you, girl. I guess. Like, crazy.
Yeah.
I could not have loved it more. Is it bad that I loved it so much? I loved it so
I
much.
know. I mean, honestly, I was like, oh my God. When another thing too that she was talking about, or that I forget who said it or whatever. Oh, okay. Remember at the very end where the private investigator goes to talk to James? James comes to the door, but
Yes.
he doesn't come. He's like, well, she's getting ready to write a book. Now, I don't know if he was confused and said a book instead of a documentary, but now I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting here thinking, is this what this was? Was this a sizzler for a book that's coming out? And what more do you
Mm.
have to say than this right here?
Yeah.
Like
This is a
what?
cash grab for her. It's a cash
Oh,
grab.
and she couldn't have
She's
made that much money from it.
mm-mm.
I mean, how
Mm-mm.
much? Because they don't pay for that. They're not shelling out tons of money for this stuff.
In my opinion, no. I mean, I've done a couple of reality shows, but I didn't get paid nothing. I did it for free. Well, not entirely for free. Um, but I was compensated not through like I could take my appearance on those various reality shows and then use them to market other things I was doing, right? So like on the Housewives, if the housewife starts a candle line, they'll be like, we'll give you a little bit of money to appear. But now you could say, oh, it's me from the Housewives selling a candle line or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I used my appearance on I did like a lot of daytime talk shows and one I had a baby on TV, which is ridiculous. But
Oh
my
wow.
yeah, my almost 18-year-old who just went for a jog. Please nobody kidnap my child. Um he can fight though. Good luck. Uh I had him on A Baby Story, TLC, the Learning Channel. Used to have a show called A Baby Story where they'd follow a family around and you would, have your baby and they would film it. Although mostly they just mailed a video camera to your house and you filmed yourself. And then the day you went into labor, they would show up. Well, I had a planned C-section, so they were like, this is great. Tuesday at 10 a.m. we'll be there, whatever it was. Um, and so I had my last baby on Baby Story, but I was a real estate agent at the time, and because I live right outside New York City, they film a lot of those like house hunter type shows in the local area, and I kept trying to get on a real estate show, but I wasn't getting cast. So in my doctor's office, when I saw a thing for Baby Story, I was like, good enough. So I kept talking about being a real estate agent while I was on Baby Story. And so people saw me on Baby Story and they were like, oh my God, I saw your episode. Your family is so cute, blah, blah, blah. By the way, I'm trying to buy a house. I'm trying to sell a house. And even if they didn't live in my local area, they're like, hey, can you recommend an agent in Kansas? So I'd refer them to somebody in Kansas. And when they bought their house, I got a little money off of it. So TLC didn't pay me, but I made good money off of it regardless. That's how that works. I'm putting y'all up on game now.
That is so fascinating. Oh my God. You are so full of you've lived like a million lives in your life. Every time I talk to
You
you, you
have
have like another
no
like, oh,
idea.
and I did this over here. I'm like, what? That is wild. That is so cool. The dogs are having
Yeah,
their
I've done
party
a
over
lot of
here.
TV. I've done a lot of TV. I was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Like it's ridiculous. My life has been utterly ridiculous. But I feel like I've told all these stories a million times, or maybe I just told them in members only. I don't even know. But I did Celebrity Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where I was the phone a friend um for Sherri Shepherd. Sherri is a friend of mine. So we went on Millionaire and acted crazy and had fun and won $30,000 and a free trip to Vegas in August when it was like, I was like, I might have to start living right if this is what hell's going to be like. It was so hot. It
Yeah.
was so hot, but I did get a free trip to Vegas, so you can't go wrong. And somewhere on the internet is me and Sherri Shepherd winning money on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Oh yeah, and I
Was it
think
fun
last
to
time we were
film
together,
those?
I told the anthrax story. Is what? Is it fun to film it? The food was good.
Really?
The craft services was delicious. The hotel was nice.
Which one they put y'all up at? Do you remember?
She stayed at Paris and I stayed at Bally's. We were
Okay.
side by side, which I was just like, they put me up in my hotel. I was like, oh, this is really nice. I was like, Sherry girl, where are you at? She's like, oh, I'm next door at Paris. It's like, where they put me in the cheap hotel? That her hotel room was so big, I got lost in it. I was like roaming around, like Sherry, Sherry, couldn't find them.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, Paris is where they did Crime Con at.
really.
There
It's
was
a
like, I
really
think,
pretty hotel.
yeah, I feel like I think it was I mean, I can't remember. Was it y'all Vegas? That's where we stayed. I'm pretty sure it was. Because isn't Paris
Hmm.
attached to a couple of like it's almost like there's kind of attached
There's
to
like
some
the
other ones or whatever.
underground. Yeah, yeah. There's like an
Yeah,
underground concourse.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that I'm pretty sure it did that. That's where it was at or whatever. Um But yeah, that's so awesome that you've done so many different things like that. That's really cool.
You know what? I have a big mouth, and people are like, you should be on TV. And I'm like, child, I like steady income, like a check that shows up every Friday, whether or not, I work or don't work, whatever. But I went to school in college. My major was radio, TV, film. I studied broadcast. I've done all the TV things. I was a voiceover artist for a hot minute. I used to do those, you know how it used to be you'd call a place and you got put on hold and you'd hear advertising on hold, like, what was an example? When your agent returns, don't forget to ask them about the blah, blah, blah. I recorded those.
Yeah, I can
I've
say
done a lot of that.
I can
Yeah.
imagine you doing that with your
Yeah.
voice.
Lichtenberg Buick Mazda. You should have seen me trying to say Lichtenberg over and over again.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, I've done a lot of me. And once you get on one thing, it's easy to get on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. The View, The
Yeah.
Chew, Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil, Dr. all the things. Because those shows have the same producers. So somebody goes from one show to the next show. They keep your
You just
phone
kind
number
of
and
do
they
the
call you.
rounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's
And
fun, but I like this better because I don't have to put on a bra. I can stay. I actually I have foundation garments on today, but I can sit in my house, have a chitty chitty chat, and then go on with my life. I don't have to fly anyplace, so it's good for me.
yeah. One thing I was thinking about too, that if you want to talk about, which I haven't even like
Mm.
cracked it open yet to look or whatever, but is the Tylenol murders on Netflix. The reason being is, and the number one, that was fascinating, but with the mushroom case getting ready to wrap up, to me, I really felt like she was trying to pull off a Tylenol murder scenario. And it was so funny to me
Yes.
that they released that. And I was like, oh, wow. But again, I haven't even like looked at see how many episodes there are or any of that type of stuff. But that's kind of
I
like the
don't
next
know what channel is it on?
Netflix. Isn't it on Netflix? I'm pretty sure
Oh,
it's on Netflix. I think.
because I've seen a documentary about the Tylenol murders, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's like an
It was a long
older.
time ago.
It was a
It was a
long
long time
time
ago.
ago, and I don't know what angle this one is. If it's like, well,
Mm.
actually, we should let them out of jail now angle, or you know what I mean? Like, I have no idea
Nope.
because you know how
Yet
they're always
9.
doing that. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right. I feel like these things sort of come in clusters, right? Like you have Sherri Papini, you have Carly, whatever her name is, Carly Russell,
Carly
Justice for
Russell,
Cheez-Its. And then who the new girl, Tiffany Slayton,
Tiffany Slayton.
who may or may not be a hoax. In my opinion, she's a hoax. Like there's that cluster, and then you have the Tylenol murders, the mushroom murders, throw the anthrax murders in there because that was sort of like that guy's motives were all tied up, and there's a documentary about that. There's a bunch of stuff that's sort of all, there are sort of clusters of these kinds of crimes.
Yeah, yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating how they do
Wild,
that. Um,
wild.
yeah, I'm gonna look at it, but I'll let you know if it looks like something that would be interesting to go over, whatever.
For
Now, also,
sure.
too, one thing we'll have to do, are you gonna be watching the Daybell case or trial? I'm sorry, the newest one.
Are you crazy? Of course I am.
Now,
Of course I am.
so let me ask you about that, and then we can kind of wind it down or whatever. But so her
Okay.
little fake and her boy, boys. Do we have to do it in my face? No. Very dramatic over here. So her little fake sick thing that she did or whatever.
Now, see, I don't
So
think she was fake sick, but go ahead. Tell me your thoughts.
okay, so and I wasn't like 100% privy to it. So do you think number one that it's going to kick back off tomorrow, like, okay, here we go, or do you think that it's going to be like, oh, I can't come back? Or because I heard from somewhere else that the judge is like, oh no, we're hoping to do opening statements tomorrow, like we've got
Yeah.
places to go, people to see,
Yeah.
that kind of a thing or whatever. Luke, stop.
So I think the reason why I think she was sick, is because there has been a tummy bug going around. So a lot of people, I had it, my boss had it, like a bunch of people at work had it. clients that we've talked to across the country, a bunch of people have had it. And it's one of those things where it almost feels like you have the flu, like you don't have I don't know if it's neurovirus or something like that, but it's sort of been going around. And considering that she lives in a closed, confined place, um,
Mhm.
it wouldn't be that surprising to me. But it's one of those things where you're like, I feel a little bit not well. And then the next thing you know, you're like either violently nauseous or it's like, sort of feels like everything's coming out of all ends. So I think that because number one, I don't think Lori would ever turn down the spotlight, ever, ever, ever. Um, and she wants to get out of southern Idaho. Well, where is she at? Arizona. She
Mhm.
wants to go back to Idaho so she can be near Chad for the second coming or whatever. Um, yeah, it's ridiculous. But I think she wants to get this moving along. Like, go on and I was like, oh, well, maybe she'll just go ahead and plead. I don't even think she'll plead. I think she enjoys the show.
Oh,
So when they
100%.
said she was sick, I was like, oh yeah, I could see her being sick because Lori pass up a moment to be in the spotlight. Are you kidding me? But they have enough
This is
people now. They
true.
could probably seat this jury in the morning and have opening statements in the afternoon. We'll see.
I think it's going to be so. She's another one who we're at curtain
Mm-hmm.
call with, and the mask is coming off more. Just her
Mm-hmm.
general annoy. Like there's a higher level of annoyance from her with
Yeah.
the whole process, with the judge, with the yeah, oh, you did this, you did that, or whatever the case is, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
also vice versa, where you can tell, like to me, like the judge is kind of like, girl, what are we doing here? What are we doing? This is messy. Where he was like, oh, I'm writing this down on paper. Like you are getting written notes now. We're not doing the whole back and forth thing. We're
Mm-hmm.
that's a wrap. This is how this is gonna
Mm-hmm.
go. It's spelled
Mm-hmm.
out. There's no confusion.
You could sit
All
and read
that
it if
right
you
there.
need to. Crazy heifer, but yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Read it
yeah.
twice, read it thrice, whatever you got to do to make it through the day.
He's
I
real tired of
just,
her.
yeah, I don't blame him. I mean,
Yeah.
I would just be like, "Are you kidding me? Like, how am I here?" And that lawyer, the prosecutor, oh, she's done with it.
Trina K. Miss Trina
Done.
K. Yeah. Yeah. Did you see that they're saying that once she gets convicted, I mean, if she gets convicted, there will be a mitigation phase or something where the family members can come up and say like their piece, almost like a victim impact thing. And Lori's like, what if I just stipulate? She wants to control the situation and she doesn't want those victims to get up and sit there and talk where she has to listen to it. And she was fighting, fighting, fighting about it until the judge was saying like, well, you don't have to be here or whatever. And then she stopped fighting. I think she just doesn't want to sit there. Um,
Yeah.
but the sainted judge, Justin Bareski, is like, heffa no, in judicial language, but like, no, girl, no, 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 no.
Yeah, or I'm sorry, she's like, she's a, she does not want it. She can't stand that. Well, even having to sit there like with Brandon, I can't wait to
Mm-hmm.
see how that goes. Because you saw how it was like, oh, there's gonna be this standoff with Kay Woodcock but she was scared to death of Kay.
Yep.
I think she'll be the same way with
Yep.
Brandon, where she'll get up
Agreed.
there and probably barely say anything just to get out of dealing with it or whatever.
Her
She's a
only
coward.
living victim, her only living victim, and he gets to stand up and say his piece. Oh my, I pray he takes the stand. And they're saying that new information is supposed to come out in this trial, never before seen information about the whole case. So I'm like, honey, I'm perched. I am ready to go. I am so here for it. I have so many meetings this week at work and like business lunches and things. And I'm like, oh, um, can we schedule these around like my court
You're
days?
like, look,
Like,
people, I've got stuff going
I,
on here.
I know you need your quarterly report, but I'm gonna be. This is a trial happening, but my colleagues know. They're like, "Psst, girl, don't worry about it. We got you."
I know, right? They're like, just hang in there. Hang in there.
they're like, they're like, "What happened? Okay, you need us to take notes because we." I'm like, "No, no, I'm going to the meeting, but if I'm looking down at my phone with one eyeball, don't say nothing. Let's just all act like we don't see Kathy looking down at her phone with one eyeball."
I tell you what, it's like that's how it always used to go. like my whole running joke was like, if I go cut the grass or there's something else that I would do, that's always when like it would be like, that's when the verdict's gonna come. All of a sudden the jury, like the biggest stuff would happen. It
Yes.
without
Yes.
fail, that's when it would take place. It was usually when I cut the grass. So it's like, if like the
Oh
verdict been
my
holding out, I'm
God.
like, I'm gonna go cut the grass. Just text me when they say they're coming out for the give the verdict. I know they're gonna come now that I've decided to go do that.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
just like, that's just how it goes.
The worst, the worst. When the Murdoch verdict was coming, thank goodness it came in at night. But I was like, I don't know if I can work today. I have to, but this week I have clients coming in from out of town. So I have to go, I have to, act like I have some common doggone sense. I have to put on makeup, a real foundation garment, get my act right fully installed and tightened and oiled and be like, hello, how are you doing? Welcome to Dunder Mifflin.
I love it. I love it.
It's
I love
gonna be
it.
fine. It's gonna be fine. Wait, this dress that I'm wearing is sort of a wink to the members. Because wait, I have to stand up because yesterday I made this dress. I don't even know if you could see it. So there's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this
I love
part
it.
that's like orange coral, and this part is just like plain. Then this part down here, which is striped, and then the bottom part, which that part again,
Oh, that is
because
so
yes,
pretty. I
and I put
love
pockets
that.
in it today. Um, yesterday, I'll put there's actually pictures up, but I think they're marked as members only. I was having a day yesterday and I needed some retail therapy. So I went to the Will, y'all know how I love the Goodwill, and bought some old men's shirts. And I took 3 men's shirts and cut them up and turned them into this dress. But
That is so cool.
yeah, I'm like, I love to sew. It makes me so happy to sew. But I was like, as a wink and a nod to the people who saw this dress when it was 3 shirts laying on my bedroom floor. Like, here's the dress, but I'm gonna put it wouldn't have made if I just made this post, people would have been like, girl, what? I'm gonna edit it. Right now it's only visible to members. I don't know how to edit it so other people can see it. Okay, maybe I'll just post the pictures again and make them so anybody can see them. Oh yeah, I can just post it up here again. Post. There we go. Now it's in the members only section. So you can see the 3 shirts before and the dress after. But the picture is before I put the pockets in. I put the pockets in this afternoon because I was like, oh, this needs a pocket.
Did you do
So,
it? Where did you do that on your community board?
yeah, on the and I think the community board is now just called posts. They keep changing the name of it, which
Oh
I
yeah.
find annoying.
I know.
But
I know. It really throws me off. It
yeah.
really does.
Wait.
Hold on, let me go find it. I want to look.
Oh wait, let me see if
Associative.
I can
Boom.
I can
And
probably
then
screen share and show it. Bear with me
oh
one
wow. Yeah,
moment,
that's really
please.
cool, Kathy.
Hold,
That is
please. Oh, here we
crazy
go.
that you can do that. Oh my god.
Hang on. Present
You could
screen
have your
share.
own little you might be like, "Oh, I did that," and blah, 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 like another one of your lives or whatever. You could have your own like you could sell this stuff.
Child,
Let's
which you
see,
know
look
what
at that.
I used to sell stuff I made, but I didn't have it wasn't as fun to me. Yeah, so it was like this is a golf shirt and this was a long sleeve t-shirt size small and this is a 4X men's shirt and I just cut them up and put them all together. And this was like, like a collared shirt. I took the collar off because, hot flashes, I was hot. Um and then I left the little buttons and then this is that shirt, the
That is
stripey, and then there's the bottom
wild.
half of the first shirt.
How long did
Yeah.
it take you to do it?
I don't know. An hour? I don't know. It didn't take
No.
long. Yeah, it doesn't take long. This
That
is
is
what you need to understand.
crazy.
I could sew before I could read. Like I've been sewing forever and ever and ever.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and I sew a lot. But so when I see something I like a dress, pants, skirt, whatever. I don't sew with patterns because I didn't learn to sew with patterns. I make some of my own patterns, but I don't sew with patterns. I just get an image of my mind of what
Yeah.
something looks like. But like if I see a dress or I see a pair of pants or I see an outfit, I can see the pieces that it took to make that thing. Like I can see them in my mind. And so then I just sew it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And you use like I don't even know what they're called, like a
Sewing machine?
yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Use a sewing machine. Wait, and I also use I don't know if you could see this, but like, I don't know if you could see it, but there's like,
Okay, yeah. The stitching at the
uh,
bottom, like
yeah, but this is, hang on.
wait, hold on.
Look, I'm trying to do this without showing you. Oh my goodness and mercy. You see that stitch that sort of like goes over the edge of the fabric?
Yes,
I have
yes.
an overlock machine. I have a serger. Sewing people will know. I have a serger.
Is that
So I have a
fancy or
serger.
something? Is that like the next level?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fancy. I actually have like 4 sewing machines and a serger, but I only use
Really?
them, one at a time. And I used to teach during the pandemic. I was teaching online sewing classes. Child was crazy, just to entertain myself, not for money or anything.
Now, is the Goodwill in your area? So, like, you know how like resellers and stuff have like driven the costs. Like, you go to these like thrift stores, all that. Are prices still reasonable where you're at for stuff, or like what's the vibe?
Prices are reasonable and quality is excellent because
Really?
near me, a lot of the TV shows and things like that, like a lot of movies and films and things are filmed here. And so their wardrobe gets dumped at Goodwill. So and a lot of the fashion houses will dump their sample sale, their overstock, whatever. So like, what are the stores? Like, Marshalls and Burlington Coat Factory and all of those people, they buy things at a deep discount. If they can't sell them, they dump them at my Goodwill. North Jersey is filled with like rich people. Those rich ladies with their Oscar gowns or whatever, they dump them at Goodwill. So
Oh, okay.
we get a lot of samples. We get a lot of things from like Target, Walmart, Kmart. At the Goodwill, you'll find 20 sizes of the same shirt, all in the same color with tags still on them from the stores. And they're $4.99, they're $5.99, whatever.
Lord, that is so cool.
Yeah. Good furniture too. A lot of good furniture.
Oh,
But yeah,
really? Wow.
it costs 500 gazillion dollars to walk down the street here. So we got to have a good Goodwill. I mean, something got to be worth it. You know what I mean?
I mean, amen. I mean, good Lord.
Yeah. So hit the
Lord.
Bergen County Goodwills if you live in North Jersey, because the Goodwills are
Apparently, it's
good.
the place to be. Well, that's amazing. You did an amazing job on that dress. That's so cool. You can do that.
Thank you. Yeah, I just threw it together. But I have a ton of clothes that I've made. Like all of my clothes are custom. I buy them and then I customize literally every single thing I make because I'm short. So I'm hemming, I'm stitching. I'm a part of the
Okay.
big booty community. So I make the hips of things wider. I make the waist smaller. I sew everything.
Gotcha.
Just one of those things.
You
Yeah,
can like have so all your stuff is always unique. That's like such a gift to be
that's
able to
true.
do.
For better or worse. Let's hit some of these starred posts and then I'm gonna
Oh
let you
yeah.
go because I need to take my nighttime medication. So let's see. Sandy OBX.
Outer Banks,
OBX.
Outer Banks. That's North
Yep, that's what I was
Carolina.
saying. Is a new member. Welcome,
Hey.
Sandy. And then Treks of Trish, me too. First off, is Sherri wearing a wig or is that her hair? Child, Sherri Papini's hair is a shame before the Lord. I don't know what was happening on her head. Those bangs, that was the first sign she was in crisis when I saw those bangs. I was like, those are some crisis bangs if I ever saw some crisis bangs. Cause no, ma'am. They should have put her in jail for that hair alone. Purple Irish sweater. Hey girl, hey, curtain twitchers and sofa squad. It's great to be back together again. Yes, it is.
Hey.
AA Legal Focus. Hey Judy. Hi everyone. Got my pizza and looking forward to this collab. We're so happy to have you here.
Pizza.
Kay Bush, thank you so much for the super sticker on Paul's
Hey.
channel. She says you guys are
Oh
awesome.
yes, thank you, K Bush.
Purple
Man.
Irish sweater, Tahoe. You both are doing this. Okay, thank you, Purple Irish sweater. Ohio Palm Mom, member for 5 months. Kathy is amazingly creative or
Yes,
just
she is.
crazy. Alice Turner, love you both. Thank you for sharing your Sunday with us. Thank you for sharing your Sunday with us. Sitting here talking about crazy people. And Poetic Justice just became a YouTube member. Welcome, welcome,
Woo,
welcome.
woo. No, we
Enjoy
don't
all
do
that
that.
members only content. Oh, which puppy is in your lap?
This is the mean one, Luke. They're
Uh-oh.
highly turned up right now.
He's
He's
so
growling and
cute.
doing that. Now, I just realized this. I've never known to do this or know how to do this.
What?
Now, it's different on my screen right now. So if you star the things, you can go back to them in the other thing and look at them later.
Yeah.
Hey, wait, hold on.
Yeah, some of these when I was waiting for the live to start, there was a couple of when somebody was asking about the hair, I started so that it jumped over to, you know how on StreamYard it shows you what starred. If you star anything, if you hover over a comment, you could click show or there's a star. If you star it, it'll go over to the starred posts and you could circle back to it later.
Well, good Lord Almighty, I'm gonna be doing that. I love that because see, I'll be doing something. I'm like, oh, where'd your comment go? Like, when it starts going or whatever, and I
Yeah, because
can't
they
like
go
find it and catch it
fast.
or whatever. And then, yeah, I didn't know that. That's
Yep.
cool.
Yep. I think all of us learn things from each other. Like Francoise from Real Talk Bougie taught me how to use StreamYard, her and Brandy. But Francoise I would have been absolutely lost without her. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then yesterday, or Friday, I was telling Auntie Deb, Jimmy, he was like, oh no, I don't monetize my videos because I don't want them to have commercials. I was like, girl, your videos are going to have commercials anyway. The question is not, will there be commercials? The question is, will you get paid from those commercials? And she was like, what? Wait. So she was going through monetizing videos. I was like,
Oh
Heifer,
yeah,
monetize these right now, right now.
yeah, because they're gonna
So
put them on. Yeah, the way like it's funny how much YouTube has changed and stuff like that because it's like now it's to the point where it's like YouTube says well where they'll will put I can't pronounce it where they will put the commercials even you know what I'm saying
yeah,
where you used to be like
yeah,
I mean like you can go in there and switch around a little bit or whatever but it's like oh yeah even when they say like oh this is demonetized for like it's not appropriate whatever they're still putting they're gonna get their money.
absolutely.
They are
Absolutely.
gonna get their money.
And they got a lot more money than me. And I was like, if people don't want commercials, then you just get premium. Like, and even if people get premium, we get a little piece of the premium
Yeah,
revenue. You could see it in studio, like, oh, this number of people have premium. Here's your little bit of change from that. Thank you so much.
yeah.
I will take it. But
Yeah,
it's like,
premium is like the best. It's like the
yeah,
best. How do you say it? Money well spent, or whatever you call it. Or whatever.
yeah,
I love that. I'm like, I will scrape. I will be on the side of the road asking for some change to get my premium
honey.
YouTube. It is worth because I listen to it. YouTube is like my biggest. I mean, I know I do YouTube or whatever, but like listening to stuff, it's my biggest thing that I listen to all day long. I listen to my music. I listen to
Yep,
this and just to have that, I go to sleep to it. I can't be doing
yep.
ASMR videos talking about that's the
Yeah,
middle
absolutely.
of it.
For the longest time, I was like, I can just click skip. I can just do skip. And then I was live streaming for Brandy one day, and she was like, girl, get premium. Because I was like, no, I can live stream this trial. And it kept dropping in with commercials. I was like, okay, girl, tell me how to get premium. Like while I was on stream, I bought because I was like, this is too much money. I don't watch YouTube that much. But once I got premium, my husband doesn't have premium on his or what I don't know what he's doing, but his shows commercials, I'm horrified by it. I'm like, oh, a commercial. Oh my goodness. Clutching my pearls and falling out and stuff. Like, oh no,
I love
I
it. I
can't.
love it.
I can't.
Oh
I'm
my
doing the
god.
sleep Spanish where you put the things on where it plays Spanish while you sleep. And you're supposed to learn
Oh.
Spanish while you sleep. Mm-hmm.
Do you
Um,
dream? Are your dreams in Spanish language?
yes. Although when I wake up, I can't speak Spanish, but in my dreams, I'm speaking Spanish. Yeah,
Soon you will
it's
be able to,
crazy.
though. I do believe that. Like,
Yes.
I think like listen to like the subconscious, whatever you want to call it, is really great for
Yeah.
sure.
My family is super duper religious, like really, really religious. So my auntie used to listen to these subliminal tapes in her house. And they were like, I remember going to her house and being like, what is this? Because it was real low and it was in the background. And she was always on a diet. And she was like, the devil wants you fat. You were meant to be thin. Satan wants you to eat too many snacks. It was like, oh, I just remember it saying like, the devil wants you fat. And I was like, the devil needs to calm down. Like the devil needs to leave me alone. Don't be judging me and my ho-hos over here, devil. What are you talking
I
about?
know.
I'm
See, I couldn't
like,
hear all that because I'd be sleepwalking and eating more than I do now.
the devil put this jar of peanut butter in my bed. I don't know what happened, but it is teaching me Spanish while I sleep. So maybe a higher being wants me to speak Spanish while I sleep. I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, oh Lord.
Hold
Uh,
on for a second.
right? Not today, Satan. The devil wants you to have more ring dings. It's crazy. Yeah, no, no. Yeah, Satan need to have a
So
seat, several seats.
so I'm gonna have to wind down because the dogs are getting ready to go into overdrive explosive mode. Luke says it's time. He can't handle it any longer.
It's also my bedtime. It's time for me to dope myself up really nicely and go to sleep. So,
Yeah,
yes, I'm about
same,
to go get some
same.
Simply Sleep and progesterone and just fall out.
Woohoo!
Fall
Well,
out.
let's do.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. This is always so much fun to come and talk about this stuff with you, and then just life in general. I absolutely love it. But
For
let's plan
sure.
on a Lori Daybell, and then we'll see how that Tylenol thing sounds or whatever to talk about, and then whatever
Absolutely.
else, whatever shenanigans pop off in the world that we need to address.
Yes, yes, yes. And also, I want to make sure everybody like this video, subscribe to both channels. I am trying to get to 20,000 subscribers, hopefully by this week. Um, and Paul just hit 144,000. So you clearly are the leader of heaven, because isn't that the number that you need to be in charge of heaven?
That's
144,000?
right. Me, Lori, and Chad. We're
You,
leading
Lori,
the
and Chad.
144. Where to? I don't know. Somewhere in a handbasket.
Yes, yes. You're like, what are we doing in this handbasket and where are we going?
I know, right?
Um, thank you, everybody, for
Yeah, thanks
showing up
everybody.
and for
This was
hanging out with
fun.
us. And we will see you next time. Hang on, Paul.